back to it now. For those of you on the phones, I'll get to you, don't you worry. Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966 on this Free-for-All Friday. And don't worry, I'll get to you, but I had to check in with my good friend Nick Hopwood because I noticed that the markets were settling down. There were all these doom and gloom headlines. Nick, come on with me here. There were all these doom and gloom headlines here, I don't know, 10 days ago. Worst April since 1932. The whole world's going to stop it. And then the markets have come back. It's not the worst April since 1932. Wasn't great in many regards, but I think the overall, the market's recovered a fair amount. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's almost at 41,000, the Dow. It's at 40,753. I would call that almost 41,000. Yesterday up a bit. NASDAQ was up 1.5%. S&P was decent. I mean, whatever was going on with the tariff, anxiety seems to have settled out. Right or wrong, my friend?
You hit the nail right on the head. It's completely settled down. I don't think we're necessarily out of the woods, but you're right. The month of April, was looking just absolutely terrible. We had an intraday drawdown on the S&P of 21%. So that's the peak from February 19th to the low of early April, down 21%. Steve, it qualifies as a bear market, although you don't hear anyone talking about that because it wasn't a closing price of down 21%. Another reason you don't hear anyone talking about it is because of the strong snapback that we've had. In fact, at the close of the month, the S&P was down just a hair. The global markets were up, and the fixed income markets were up. So if you had a global balanced portfolio, you're maybe positive 0.5% for the month of April.
Right. There you have it. It's interesting how they'll come out, they being the corporate media. New York Times, Washington Post, ABC, NBC, whatever. It's the worst month ever. Hide under your bed. And then it gets better. Shh. Don't say anything.
Yeah, and Steve, I got to say, maybe a month or two ago, we talked about how people are viewing their investments through the lens of politics.
Yeah.
And I urge people not to do that.
Yep.
For instance, Democrats today, they've never been so negative on the economy as they are right now. And guess what? Guess who was calling in concerned about their portfolios in April and selling? It was people who are Trump haters. They're taking their money out of the market at the wrong time.
Well, good for us. Good time to buy.
Well, we were also on with you preaching if you're young, if you don't need the money for a while, if you want to be opportunistic, it would be a good time to add money in. Good time to do Roth conversions.
In fact,
stuff like that.
I think your advice was simply something of this nature. If you're in a retirement period, right? You've got about 2 years of money that's pretty well insulated. It's a pretty safe spot that it's in. Your money that's out there 2 to 5 years, maybe a little bit more. And if it's beyond 5 years, don't look at it. Just go along. I think that's the advice. Look, if you don't need it for 5 years, what are you worried about April of 25 when you're not going to get it until April of 2030? Relax, right?
I agree with you. Now let's suppose you're retired and you're taking money from your portfolio right now.
Yeah.
And you just experienced this in April, and we kind of got bailed out here with a big rebound. Now would be a good time to rebalance your portfolio.
Yeah.
Maybe take some money off the table and put it into safe but not lazy money. And now you'd have that income for the next year or two that you don't have to worry about with markets going down.
And you just hit on something that you and I have talked about ever since you came on this program. Lazy money. Don't have money. You've got some people. You meet them. They've got cash. They've got cash flow that's positive, and they've got all their money piling up in a checking account that pays them what, 0.5% or nothing at all. I mean, you can't do that.
That's right. So that's the no lazy money mantra. We have just a few people that we've talked to recently in this situation where they're just piling up money in their checking account, a couple thousand a month, and all of a sudden you have a couple $100,000 in your checking account. Imagine how much more income or how much more profits we could have earned over the last couple of years investing in the markets, just taking some risk where we can make more than 0.5%, as you say. And by the way, we can make 4% with no risk in money markets and T-bills.
Yeah.
And so we have to incorporate our free cash flow into our plan. Otherwise, we have this lazy money, the money's not working for us, we're going to have to continue working more years as a result.
Yeah, let me ask you one more thing. We've been looking at life insurance lately because mine was term life is what I've had for a number of years. I've never thought that life insurance was a vehicle that I didn't like it. But it's the original tax-free investment plan you say. Is there a good time for life insurance? I've never liked it as an investment, but I'm sitting here, I'm about to buy life insurance. Am I too old to invest in a life insurance plan, a whole life deal that would pay me back at some place? Real quick, we got about a minute.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first place I start, Steve. And we have a lot of people, getting married, having babies. That's the time when you want a lot of cheap term life insurance.
Yeah.
It's extremely inexpensive. You can get a lot. And someone in your situation, you're probably or could be self-insured, right? The mortgage is getting paid down. Your kids are off to college or close, and you have money set aside for that. And so I like term for young people. Now on TikTok, you'll see a lot of people talking about how a 401k is a scam.
And a lot of other weird things. Yeah, go on.
You want to put money into life insurance. It's definitely not my advice. You should definitely consult with a CFP before you take out a policy like that. But it is appropriate for some people, and if you do it right, it can be a nice tax-free investment.
All right, so just talk to an advisor, and if you'd like to talk to Nick, you can find Nick at peakwm.com/Gruber. Got to have the Gruber to get a second opinion today. Like I say, Nick, you need more Gruber in your life. I completely agree with that. peakwm.com/Gruber. And you can talk to Nick. I do. You should as well. I trust him. You should as well. Nick, thank you as always. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Steve. Well said.
All right, there you have it. More Gruber all the time, and do it with peakwm.com. When I come back, more of your phone calls here on Free for All Friday. So if you made it through that segment, then you'll make it onto the program in just a moment. It is the Steve Gruber Show.